Hello everybody and welcome back. So we're going to be talking about the 55-gallon planted aquarium once again. Just going to do a quick overview of a lot of the trimming and stuff that I did to the aquarium. Also going to go into a bit of the stocking as regarding like the fish and other things that I've added since I did my last video. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link in the description so you can just go quickly jump back and see it. Basically, I basically trimmed the tank, for lack of a better word. The tank was extremely overgrown, heavily planted tank, and just a lot of plants needed to be trimmed. So that's basically what I did. I went in, I trimmed up the sword, I trimmed up the rotala, some of the pogostemon helferi in the front, and just some general maintenance, taking a nice siphon in there and cleaning it out. So I like to think it went pretty well. We've also added a lot of fish since I did my last video. I want to thank you guys who gave me ideas in that video and that kind of inspired me a little bit. Some of the fish I knew I kind of wanted, and others, as I was looking up other fish, I was kind of in like, hey, those would look really good together. Unfortunately, some of the footage I have of the fish has been corrupted, and I'm currently away, and I won't be able to actually get the footage of the tank, so I'll have to make do with what I've got. But I got a couple shipments in from two different places. I got some from the Wet Spot Tropical Fish, as well as Greg Sage at Select Aquatics. So two different sources. Got some interesting fish, got some really rare fish, as well as some more common ones that should be more obtainable for the average aquarist. So we got some really nice goodeids from Select Aquatics. I'll put the name in the description. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But they're really nice centerpiece fish. Look really nice. Really fun. Just really active. And they fulfilled that goal really well. Because I wanted a fish that was going to be that centerpiece. That's going to draw you in. It's going to have a bit more color. Because a lot of fish I have in there right now otherwise are like kind of more like subdued colors, you know, your browns, grays, and you get some reds and blues, but nothing like really big and like standoutish compared to the plants. So that's why I wanted that fish, and everything else kind of was built around it. Another thing that we have in the list we have in this tank is a ton of trumpet snails. The trumpet snails have just been growing incredibly well and breeding prolifically. And a lot of that I think is just due to food ending up on the bottom and nothing else is there to eat it. So as a result, it's just feeding the snails. So I wanted a fish that was going to utilize the bottom of the aquarium, that's going to just kind of dig into the substrate, eat that food that would otherwise just feed the snails. And so I went with cory cats, specifically the pygmy cory, which is, you might, kind of a unique choice for a 55. I think most people would probably go with like a panda cory or something a little bit larger, and maybe someday I'll add some of those as well, just to hopefully make it a little bit more effective at eating that food. But right now I added 20 pygmy cories to the tank. So the reason why I went with pygmy cories is I really wanted that large school of the small fish. I wanted something a bit more outgoing. I wanted something that's going to utilize that bottom part of the aquarium, since I have the goodeids, which are going to utilize the top part of the aquarium. So the idea is that I'll have these two different groups of fish that will all be very distinct from each other. I also think the pygmy cories are adorable, and I just really want to see like a huge pile of pygmy cories. This sounds super cool. So I wanted to try that. It's something a little bit different, but I am liking it so far. Added a pleco. I'll probably have more plecos probably around the summer. If I do, I'll probably make another video on that, because I'll have to get into the tank. I'm going to add some more pleco caves and things like that. So if I have more plecos, I'll show you guys that a little bit later as well. Added a farewell catfish. The farewell catfish is just a really unique fish, and I wanted it to utilize that sword because it's just such a great spot for it to sit and graze. So that was a pretty easy choice. I think they're really interesting looking fish, and it just adds another element of depth to the aquarium. Added some more emerald rasboras. I don't remember if I think I talked about these in my previous video on this tank. So if you haven't seen that and want to just check up on what I'm talking about, that's what I would look there, just to kind of see what it is I'm talking about. But the emerald rasboras are traditionally a fish that belong in small aquariums. When I was doing research on these, that's what people would recommend and sites would recommend. It's like, oh, you can put 6 of these in a 5-gallon, or a school of 12 and a 10-gallon. Like, these things are tiny fish, really shy. I think was another thing I read up at some point. I don't remember exactly. You might have to fact check me on that one. But they are a little bit reclusive, but they have really unique behaviors in a large aquarium like this. And I absolutely love watching them. They're probably one of my favorites to watch. Out of all of the fish I've ever had in this aquarium, it's probably them. It's really hard to describe. Maybe sometime I'll have to go back and try and make a video and just show you guys like what it is I'm talking about, because it's hard to capture, but it looks incredible when you see it, because it just adds so much more depth to the aquarium. Because it's not like they're schooling out in the front of the glass, they're not like up in your face. They're hovering around the driftwood, they're going around in circles, they're hiding in the plants, they're coming out a little bit and darting back in. But they're really colorful. They have a real bright, distinct color and pattern. It's just really fun to watch these fish interact in this aquarium and get to see the behaviors, because they don't utilize the whole aquarium. They just utilize like 2/3 of it. They don't go out into the open space very much. They like to swim back in the plants and stuff where it's safe. And it's just really fun to watch. And it's just something really unique. And they're another decently readily available fish. Most of your stores can probably get them in for you. They're a fish that don't sell well off the shelf, so to speak. That's kind of the case with a lot of the fish that I keep, is that when you go to pet stores, they won't be like, you won't notice them right away. Like, typically when you see them in stores, their colors are really subdued. They're, maybe they're hiding, or they're all really kind of stressed out. They don't look their best, and so they're not really commonly kept in a lot of stores, but most of them can probably get them in. So if you have a local store that can order fish for you, you could be in luck there, so to speak. So, more emerald rasboras. I just wanted a bigger group to hope that they might come out a bit more in larger groups. Just because right now I don't even know how many there really is in there, because they don't all come out at once. And so I just wanted them to be a little bit more active. So, I think I added 6 of those. Got some other fish for the 8-gallon nano tank. I think I have a little footage of that, so I'll throw that in so you guys can see it. But again, a lot of the fish in there are ones that don't look great off the shelves, so to speak. A lot of those are very, very, very small fish. More directional schoolers. I wanted something that would contrast with the shrimp. So in the 8-gallon, it's got like a lot of orange shrimp, and so I wanted something that's going to contrast with that. So I went with the blue Sundanio axelrodi, or I think it's green. Sorry, it's the green form, because they didn't have the blue. So it's actually the green form. So there's a green and a blue, and I think there might be a red. I don't remember exactly. So you can look those up. I think the blue is the most common, which is the Sundanio axelrodi, I believe. Then I added I think it's a little Keely. I think it's a close relative to the what is it? The clown Keely. Shoot, I don't remember. The one that's, the clown Keely knife. Oh yeah, I think it's a clown Keely. That typically dwells on the top of the water column. So those were all the new fish that were put into this tank. It's just, it's really fun, and I love getting creative with the fish selection in tanks, especially aquascape tanks. Uh, I think it's really fun when you can sit down and, you know, look at different fish and find some really unique ones and utilize their unique behaviors in an aquascape just to make something really fun to watch. So that was some of the thought process and the philosophy behind the fish that went in here in the selection process. A lot of it was I wanted a fish that was going to be up in the front, up in the glass, something that's a bit more colorful just to draw you in. And then I wanted other layers of depth. So I wanted other fish that maybe you wouldn't notice from across the room. But once you get close to the tank and you start looking at it, you'll see, oh, look at that. There's a huge school of these tiny cory cats. Then as you look, be like, oh, look, there's all these emerald rasboras and plecos and farewell catfish, and there's notocinculus in there, and there's shrimp and snails and all these other things in here. And it just kind of, I wanted something like that, just so it's more interesting to watch, and it just draws you in, which adds a kind of a different element of depth into your aquarium. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Hopefully I've got enough footage for this. If I reuse stuff, I'm really sorry. I'll try and fix all this for the future. Definitely have some more videos I want to make regarding some other aquariums that I have. So if you like this kind of thing, consider subscribing, sticking around. Who knows? Who knows where we'll go from here. So anyway, just have a good day, guys, and I'll see you guys later.